So today we're going to talk about proportions and what these crazy things are and what we can do with them and what makes them up. So we're going to use this website, and it says proportions are two ratios or fractions that are equal. Oh, so we already know what makes up a proportion, just two fractions. And we have the fraction 1/3, and it says that it equals 2/6. Well, let's see why. So we have one yellow ball and we have two blue ones. And that ratio is one yellow one to 3 total balls. So let's see how that relates to 2/6. So how does the fraction 1/3 relate to 2/6? What happened to the number of yellow balls? Well, they doubled, or it was multiplied by 2. Multiplied by 2. So the bottom number in the fraction 3 had to also be multiplied by 2. So 1/3 times 2 over 2 would give me 2/6, and 1/3 equals 2/6. That makes a proportion, two equal fractions. All right, so let's look at the information here. We're comparing length and weight versus in the last problem where we were comparing the same object. So we're comparing the number of yellow to the total number of the same object. Here we're comparing, we have 20 meters to 1 kilogram in the first fraction. And in the second fraction, we're comparing the length of the second piece, 40 meters to 2 kilograms. So are these two lengths proportional to each other? We need to decide that. 20 over 1, does it equal 40 over 2? So let's see. 20 times what would give me 40? 20 times 2. So does 1 times 2 give me 2? Yes. These items are proportional. All right, so here we are looking at shapes, and when shapes are in proportion, their relative size is the same. Here we see the ratios of the head length to the body lengths in the drawings are the same, so they are proportional. So what they did was they set up the ratio of the head to the body and the head to the body, and they're saying that these relationships are proportional to each other. So we can always look at sizes of shapes also, which we'll be doing later in this course. So let's take a look at a couple of our own and make some proportions. If we have 2/3, how could we make an equivalent proportion? Well, we could start with 2 times 2, and we would get 4, and we could do 3 times 2, and we would get 6. So 2/3 would equal 4/6. Let's stick with 2/3. How else could I make an equivalent ratio? Does 10/15 equal 2/3? Hopefully you said yes, because 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5 is 15. How about an equivalent ratio to 5:6 to make a proportion? Come up with one on your own. These are the two I came up with. The first one I multiplied by 3 over 3, and in the second one I multiplied by 8 over 8. So we're going to start solving things like this, where I have 7/8 equaling to something over 12. Can you find the missing value that would make this proportion work? Well, this one's kind of tricky, so let's take a look at it. So we're going to solve a proportion, and when we solve a proportion, we use a technique called cross multiplication. All right, so cross multiplying means just in what it says, you're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to take 7 and I'm going to multiply it by 12, but I keep the equal sign, and then I'm going to take 8 and multiply it by x. 7 times 12 gives me 84, and that would equal 8 times x. So you're going to have to ask yourself, 8 times what number equals 84? Well, we're going to do some opposite operations here, and we know the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So 84 divided by 8 will give me what x is. So if you do that, you will find that x is 10.5. Let's try another one. All right, so we have 1/4 equals some number out of 42. So when I look at 42, I don't know how many times 4 goes into 42 right away. So I think I'm going to have to use that new method of cross multiplication. So 4 times x equals 1 times 42. Okay, so then 42 divided by 4 will equal x. 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. Okay, try the next video, ratios and proportions.